This week on My Classic Car, we'll make our way to McKinney, Texas to check out a couple killer vets. These are such icons of American automotive design, and they're an absolute blast to drive. Plus, we'll take a look at new fiberglass shaker scoops and bumper covers for GM F-bodies. I love this. Hi, I'm Dennis Gage, and welcome to My Classic Car. Well, this week I'm in McKinney, Texas to visit one of my good car buddies, Don Clark. I've known Don for a number of years, and I actually came down here to shoot a couple of his early 60s Oldsmobiles. But when I got here, he had some vets I hadn't seen before, and they absolutely blew me away. So it looks like the day is going to be dedicated to the heartbeat of America. Well, Don, good to see you, man. It's always
Dennis,
a pleasure to be down here.
Good to have you back.
Well, you know, like I said, it was actually your Oldsmobiles that brought me down here. I was so in love with your Jetfire and your F-85, and I was coming down here to shoot those. But I get into your showroom there, and there's so many cars. It was almost, I didn't know what we should do today. You've got such fabulous cars.
Well, thank you, Dennis.
You know, and such nice jobs on the restoration stuff too. You're apparently a pretty strong GM guy.
I am.
and all those GMs in there would indicate that.
Right.
Well, after we talked for a while and stuff, I just, you know, it's these two vets that were just calling out to me. I think they're such great examples of these two different body styles.
Well, they are two of my favorites, Dennis.
Well,
good choice.
Well, then let's start with this beautiful blue C3. What, this is a 72?
72, correct.
Okay. Now it's an LT1. What's an LT1?
LT1 was a performance option that Chevrolet offered in the Corvette for 3 years, 70 through 72.
Engine designation, basically?
That's it.
Okay. So it's a small block. It's 350, right?
Small block, solid lifter.
Oh, okay.
And you can only get it with a 4-speed.
Oh, really? Okay.
Correct.
Now, but it's got a big block hood on it, right?
That was one of the design elements that they used, big block hood, and then they added the LT1 striping for all 3 years.
Which really sets it off. I mean, this is a very eye-catching car.
I agree.
I love it. Now, so it was a small block, solid lifter with what kind of horsepower?
255.
Okay. And is it still?
No, this engine's recently been redone, and the horsepower compression bumped back up to about 350 horsepower is our best guess.
Wow. It's pretty easy to turn that back, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Just takes money.
We have the tech. It just takes money, just like everything else. I love the color, though. Beautiful blue. What'd they call this?
They called this Targa blue.
And it was obviously a stock color.
Yes.
You know, I was looking at this car, and I think the other thing I couldn't quite figure it out that was striking about it is it's the wheels, because those are not stock rims. They have, you know, they got the rally look and everything. But that's got to be an 18.
That is an 18-inch billet wheel.
Ooh, nice.
I saw a set of these wheels on a Camaro recently, and I really like the look.
Yeah, I mean, it's really striking. It really dresses the car up. Now, one of the things I always loved about this car was the T-top, and didn't they have a removable glass back window?
68 through 72, the back glass is removable.
So you could strip the T-tops off, take that out, and you basically have a Targa running.
That's right,
there, right?
yes.
And interior-wise, it's quite different than a C2.
The C3 and C2 share the same platform, but because of the way the seats are structured and the fact that you sit lower, the feel is totally different than that car.
You more put them on than got into them. They just, you know, they just wrap around you.
This car has a very, very comfortable ride.
Ooh, I love it. I think my favorite thing about this body was always the flying buttress roof line here. I just thought it looked fantastic. And, you know, this is a distinctly American sports car. There's no foreign sports car looks like this. And I've always loved the C3 design.
Well, the basic C3 design was with us for a long time, 68 through 82.
Yeah.
So we got used to seeing this style for a long, long time.
But, you know, the earlier ones had, I don't know, they were a little musclier. I loved how it, you know, kicked up versus they rounded off a little bit later on. And then chrome bumpers, which went away soon after this, right?
Chrome bumpers went away in 73 on the nose and 74 on both ends.
So, In some respects, this would be the pinnacle of styling for the C3.
I would agree with that, Dennis.
That's lovely. In your humble opinion, of course. Let's have a look at that LT1 engine.
All right.
Okay, so boy, that's, you know, that's the small block and it's packed in there.
That is the small block, Dennis, but note that we do have air conditioning and the smog system is still intact on this car. It does take up a bit of the space.
I didn't actually know you could get air conditioning. Was
72 only.
Oh, really? Okay.
And
wow.
About 200 cars, I believe, were built with air.
It's beautiful, and it runs probably like a new 72. Actually, it probably runs like a new 70 with what you've done to it.
It does.
Can we take it out and run it?
We certainly can.
Yes. Well, close that baby up and let's go for a Corvette cruise. Coming up, we'll go cruising in the C3 Stingray, but first we'll look at fiberglass shaker scoops and bumper covers in the Egge Speed Shop.
My Classic Car is brought to you by Grundy Worldwide Collector Car Insurance.
Well, hey, I got my good buddy Rick Schmidt from National Parts Depot in the shop with me today. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing great. Great to be here as always.
So tell me, Rick, what's a scoop?
Ooh, okay. I'm going to keep going with that. Today I brought a bunch of fiberglass stuff. And normally fiberglass, there's a stigma about fiberglass that you don't want any fiberglass on your correct restoration. But this is a case where fiberglass is a good thing and an appropriate thing, and I'll explain why. First thing we've got is scoops for 77 up to 81 Trans Ams. There hasn't been any good reproductions on the market available, and we put together an effort at NPD and have reproduced these scoops to a very nice original style detail. And we've got the correct scoops for the correct applications instead of just doing a blanket all-in-one generic one.
Because they are subtly different.
They are subtly different.
What's this?
This is the 77. This is the one that everybody stared at in Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit.
It's got a more a crisper, more defined shape to it. Then we moved to the 78, 79. This covers the 400 and 403 Olds Power Trans Ams, and it's not quite as, it's a little taller and not quite as crisp. And then this is a rarer piece. It's the 8081 for the 305 shaker cars, distinguished by this little bulge right here on the end.
And that's it. Wow. Well, and of course, here's why you need these things, right?
Here's why you need these things. They're sitting on top of the engine, so they're cooking from the engine heat, and they're also getting baked by the sun, and they're shaking around. They get brittle, they crack, and there's nothing you can do with that. And there's no good reproduction alternative up until now, so people have just been buying these used scoops on eBay and trying to make it work. So
now all the attachment.
We've got everything you need.
Spacers.
That's an exclusive NPD reproduction right there of the correct extruded weather strip that goes around the perimeter. We've got the correct rivets to attach the shaker to your air cleaner assembly, or if you don't have a rivet gun, we can give you riv nuts that'll look like rivets from the top. So we've got all the right stuff to restore your shaker.
Well, you got the hood and shaker taken care of, but now front and rear bumper covers in fiberglass.
This is a super exciting thing. You know, these bumper covers for the later 70s F bodies were originally done in urethane. These aren't urethane, so people will say, boy, I wish you had the urethane. The urethane, out in the sun and in the heat, would turn wavy. Over time, it got brittle. It would crack. If you tried to effect a repair on the urethane, it was difficult and not long lasting. This is what we call flex glass. The gel coat has a flex agent in it. It doesn't have the spidering,
cracking.
Any of the bad effects that you may have experienced with fiberglass. These are much more forgiving and flexible pieces, but they fit right. They don't get wavy on you. They're more durable. If you do have an accident or somebody taps into you in the garage,
it's fiberglass.
It's fiberglass. You can repair it.
You know, some of these are fairly complex pieces.
Yes, they are. They're big, complex pieces, but they fit beautiful. They really did a really good job on these. The detail is all there. We've got 77 through 81 Trans Am and Firebird covered, and we've got 78 to 81 Camaro covered with front and rear.
Yeah, you got one dressed out down here too.
Yeah, I dressed one out down here to show two things. I wanted to show the quality of the covers, that all the accessories just fit right in. No tools, just popped it in. Second thing I wanted to show off was that grill in the center is another exclusive NPD reproduction we've just come out with. For years, the 8081 guys haven't had a reproduction of grill available because the tooling,
it's expensive.
It's very expensive, and there had been a tooling back in the 90s, but it broke. and nobody wanted to pay for a new tooling. Well,
But you did.
I jumped on it, I bit the bullet, and we've got this beautiful new grill. It's indistinguishable from an NOS grill. It really turned out beautiful. It's $99 in all of our stores in stock.
These guys are going to love you to death.
We're trying to take care of them.
So glass is good.
Glass is good. Glass is good.
All right, man. Well, hey, if you want to learn anything more about these great new glass reproduction hoods, the bumper covers, or this NPD exclusive piece here, log on to myclassiccar.com. So subtly different, but you better have the right scoop on the right car.
If you don't do it right, there's no point in doing it.
No point in doing it.
For a complete selection of nostalgic performance products, cruise over to EggeSpeedShop.com.
Next, we'll go for a spin in a sweet C3 Stingray. Welcome back to My Classic Car. You know, I really do love your Oldsmobiles, the Jetfire, the F-85, and I couldn't resist these Corvettes today. But there's a link between that F-85 and your Corvette collection, right? What is that?
Well, there is, Dennis. When I was a youngster, that F-85 was the only car that I had.
That was your car that's the car when you were a kid.
That actually, 48 years ago this month, my father bought that car, and it was his first new car.
Wow.
And then he allowed me to take care of it for him, and then when I turned 17, he gave me the car.
So how does it relate to a Corvette?
Well, by then I had found this young lady that I was crazy about, and I would go visit her, and that's what I would be driving. And there was a young man in town who people referred to as the rich kid, and he had the same aspirations that I did, and he would frequently go by and visit her as well, and sometimes we were there at the same time. And one particular day, I remember it like it was yesterday, he was there and he left, and in his 64 coupe, and I looked to my girlfriend and I said, someday I'm going to have a car just like that. So that's where my fondness for the Corvette, especially the C2 coupes, originated.
And that girlfriend went on to become your wife.
She did, and she's still putting up with it.
Amazing. I don't know
it
how
is
she,
amazing.
I don't know how she does it. So C2 to C3, you specialize mostly in C2 coupes.
Well, C2s were my all-time favorite from way back in my youth. But, and I bought my first Corvette in 1971, but as they are today, the C2s were much more expensive, and for me, unaffordable at that time. So I settled for a 68 that I kept for about 2 years. Moved up to a 71 and then to the 72.
Uh-huh. And on this one, was it kind of the color and the options that did it for you?
Well, I was really attracted to the LT1 because of its rarity.
And this small block certainly has plenty of punch. And you can always hear those solid lifters. Need parts for your ride? Then check out this week's Classic Car Marketplace.
Need parts for your F-Series truck, Bronco, Classic or Fox Mustang, Camaro, Chevelle El Camino, Malibu, or Firebird? Then get your free catalog from NPD, the nation's always in-stock restoration parts supplier. Call 888-893-FAST for your free catalog or visit nationalpartsdepot.com. For superior chrome plating, call Paul's Chrome Plating. They'll go that extra mile to achieve flawless show-quality results on all your chrome parts. Paul specializes in chrome plating pot metal as well as steel, aluminum, and plastic parts. Try Paul's Chrome Plating today for all your chroming needs. Call 800-245-8679 or visit us online at paulschrome.com. Corvette Central has been a leading manufacturer and distributor of Corvette parts and accessories since 1975. We offer free detailed full-color catalogs for each Corvette generation, as well as an accessory catalog. Our updated website allows you to search, view, and order parts anytime. From C1 to ZR1, only Corvette Central has it all. Visit us online or call today.
Still ahead, we'll take a look at a resto-modded C2 Corvette. Welcome back to My Classic Car. Well, you're right. That 72 is a nice driving, nice riding car.
That was fun, Dennis. Thank you.
That was a lot of fun. Well, let's talk about something that's a little different. That was a pretty stock car, your 72. This 66 is by no means stock. You've played with this baby.
I have, Dennis, and I set out to find a donor car, and a friend of mine knew about this car. It had been neglected, sat outside for 25, 30 years.
That can't be good. That can't possibly be good.
The fiberglass was not in very good condition, and this was an automatic, low horsepower car, so it really didn't lend itself to restoration. And this is the end result.
Well, it's also it's a stunning color. This is not a Corvette color.
This is actually a Buick color from about 2003.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
It looks great on this car, and it gleams. And you've got an LS1 badging, but isn't that a big block hood?
It is a big block hood, and I selected that simply
because it looks cool.
So that's the reason.
Let's just get down to it. It just looks cool. It's subtle, but I think you flared it. And the fenders in the back,
the rear fenders have been flared. I have 10.5-inch rims in the back of this car, and it required about a 3/4 inch flare.
It looks pretty good.
It is a little bit difficult to detect. Now the chassis is where it all begins. Was converted by Paul Newman up in Northern California. He takes the original chassis and he blends that chassis with C4 components.
Really?
So you have total C4 suspension and steering, and then the brakes have been upgraded from that point to bare.
Wow, so that must be a completely different animal.
It is totally different. The ride of this car is a bit harsher than a stock car.
Stiff?
But it is stiff, but it is much more contemporary feel than the cars from the mid-60s.
So you ripped it all apart. You started with a Paul Newman chassis.
Correct.
Then what?
Did some body modifications, and then we went with a current GM motor, this case being an LS1 with a 6-speed.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And the side pipes, I think, are such a nice touch. And the wheels are Corvette, but they're late model, right?
Late model, around 2000.
I tell you, the other thing that's great about this car, though, is this red it screams.
Well, now this combination wasn't available in '66. I took a little artist license on this, and that's what I preferred, so that's what I went with.
You kept stock seats, though, right? Kinda?
I did. I wanted to stay with the original design.
And you kept the original dash layout, but you've updated with autometer gauges.
All electronic gauges, correct.
And you've still got the funky vertical radio in the dash, but you got some more serious tunes in back.
Right. The original radios didn't work when they were new, so that was essential.
So you really did build this for fun, right?
I did.
If I had to pick probably my favorite of all Corvette body styles, though, it would be this, and it would be the coupe of the C2. I just think that's a beautiful with a wrap back window and everything. I know everybody loves roadsters, but to me this completes the design of this car.
I've always been a fan of this body style.
It looks great, man. Any other mods back here?
Other than suspension, stainless steel fuel tank, fillers in the original location, but that's about it.
Did you have to replace all the badging and things like that? That was all shot, I imagine. These are all.
Yeah, everything here has been
new
replaced.
aftermarket. Probably.
Sure. Yeah.
So you went with LS1 on this, right?
Correct.
Well, let's have a look at that LS1.
All right.
Oh, now that's nice. That looks thoroughly modern.
I think it's an appropriate look for this car.
Yeah, it is. It is. So are those just standard Corvette covers there?
The valve covers are standard. The center manifold cover is custom made from a few pieces of aftermarket trim.
There's a lot of work done in this car.
This car took a good while to put together.
And then how long did it take to sort of sort out, or was it pretty well she came right on?
Once it was finished, it didn't require any fine tuning, if you will, at all.
It was just fire
Turn the
up,
key and go.
have fun.
Right.
Well, why don't we turn the key and go too?
I think we should.
All right. Stay close. We'll fire up the C2 and go for a ride.
Brought to you by Grundy Worldwide Collector Car Insurance and by U-Coat It, the official floor coating of the Egge Speed Shop.
Well, this ought to be fun. Wow. You're gonna have a lot of fun in this car.
This car was built for fun, Dennis.
Well, I know I'm having fun. It's a cool looking car because it's so subtle what you've done. It's not over the top, but you know that something's been done.
But again, there are those people who
Oh yeah.
think this is really not appropriate.
It wasn't. meant to be that way. It didn't come from the factory that way.
I mean, if you want a car that's that you're going to drive and you need air conditioning and you want tunes, you've got to do this.
Yeah, you do. Well, you know, we've become quite spoiled. You want the nostalgic look and feel of a car, but you want a lot of the modern conveniences. And this, what you've done, and in fact, and frankly, the whole resto mod trend is really that. It's taking this great styling, but bringing it up, you know, to thoroughly modern technology.
It'll be interesting to see how this trend plays out over the next decade.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so much of it is because the aftermarket, it now allows you to do anything, whether it's reproduction stock parts or whether it's, you know, performance parts or, you know, styling or modification. It's all out there.
Did you ever think you'd see the day when you could go to a Chevrolet dealer and buy a 450, 500 horsepower motor over the counter?
And just drop it in the way you go, with warranty, by the way.
Correct.
You know, yeah, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful time for the hobby. And, you know, when you want to do something like this, you know, it's fine to personalize a car. It's fine to have fun. But on this, you can just have a blast.
That was the goal.
I think you achieved it. Are there any other vets in your future?
No, I think I've bagged my limit.
From my viewpoint, yeah, I think you did too. So until our next meeting, remember, honor the timeless classics. I'm Dennis Gage. Happy motoring. Next week, we'll travel to Boise, Idaho for the Northwest Motor Fest. You'll see a stellar range of rides at this Gem State Bash, and a few things you'll probably only see out west. Plus, we'll check out the latest in reproduction muscle car bodies.
Attention, My Classic Car fans. Go online now to check out our exclusive web content along with the latest MCC news at myclassiccar.com. View past episodes of the show, read Dennis's blog, or even upload your latest car videos.